Hey Google, how are you? This is my next video in my video log.
Thanks for asking. I'm doing okay. A lot is going on in the world today. I hope you're taking care of yourself.
Yes, Beebs. I was taking care of myself. You'll be all the way nice to yourself. Little sweetie pie. Yeah, anyway, this is my next video log. I have I finally finished Naya runes. I think last on Sunday. Let me go grab it. So I can show it to you. So I put this deck for sale on eBay today. It has Naya runes, which is standard legal, fully standard legal away from the deck the ban list that just included Alran's Epiphanies, Faceless Havens, and Divide by Zero. It doesn't have either of them. Or any of them. This is the deck so far. It's almost done except for the sideboard, which I'll go pick up as soon as someone purchases it, or I get the sideboard or sideboard is something that I like to keep personal, so I just put a bunch of commons and uncommons in there because I think this is really all the deck needs to keep going. I don't know if I've showed you this entire deck, but I'll break it down into fours so you can see it. There are the lands. I'll just show you each card and then we can go from there. Kind of talking about why. So I have these Rockfall Vale. It's all laterally inverted. Michiko, which is you need that with the runes, so that's why I have 4 Rune of Mights in there, and 4 Jukai Naturalist, which lowers the cost of the runes. Showdown the Skalds is a must, just to draw those extra cards and put those extra counters on there. Another pathway land, another Showdown. The deck essentially has 4 Showdowns, 4 of each pathway land, 3 Rock Vales, one this is the Kami of Transience is a must. The prices of all these cards is gonna go up once they see how good this deck is in aggro. It doesn't run any of the dual casting costs, dual loyalty things. Rune of Speed, it has 4 Rune of Speeds in there. 4 Showdowns, you've already seen 3. 4 Runeforge Champion, which grabs the runes for you. And him, along with the Jukai Naturalist, essentially makes the cost 0. So you can cast the runes for 0 and just kind of combo out and hit for a lot of damage early on. And it really gets control because they have to have that Doomscar in hand on turn 2 to foretell it, so they can Doomscar off your creatures. Because essentially on turn 4 or turn 3, if you play Runeforge Champion, and turn 2 Jukai Naturalist, turn 4 is when you're gonna win. But if they get off that Doomscar after you cast your Runeforge Champion, if you're playing first, they will wipe your board unless you have the Kami first, another pathway land. Eiganjo. The only thing I have to go grab another Boseiju. Generous Visitor is a must because she can shift the counters around to your Trampler if you only have 1 Rune of Might in hand. It's pretty much the Naya combo is just speed out with your runes and Runeforge Champion and Jukai Naturalist. The Jukai Naturalist, this one lowers the cost of enchantments by 1. So you can play the Showdown for just a red and a white if you have 2 of them out there, or 3. You can Showdown for 3. 1 Lair is in there to keep the creature count to 20, because this deck has 19 creatures. Because the three Michigos, although they come into play as enchantments, they turn into creatures eventually, which increases the utility of that card. And you give the +1/+1 to the Trampler, usually and then Valakut Exploration for some more combo action. When you play your land for turn, you get to draw a card, or you get to exile a card, and if you can't use that card, it's pretty much is essentially for draw. If you can't use the card, then it just goes when you have the Showdown out. It's good to play for cheap for 1 red, and then play a land to just get 1 extra card on the Showdown to cast, so you can combo out with your spells. It only runs 2 of them in there: Jukai Naturalist, 4 Jukai Naturalist, 2 Valakut Explorations, 3 Overgrown Farmlands. Essentially, this is a really good deck. It has a 68% win rate. Little fancy Kamigawa lands in there. I think that green one is supposed to be Boseiju, but I'll put the Boseiju in as soon as somebody... Cause it's a little high dollar card. Generous Visitor. Overgrown Farmlands. Cragcrown, 4 of these pathways. 4 of the green-red pathways. 4 of the green-white pathways. 4 Kami of Transience. And the Kami's really good just because if you have him in play when they destroy all creatures before they fare well, I mean, you should be able to win before they fare well. If you're not, then you've probably already lost that game. If they exile so the Kami of Transience, the bottom half of the text says that if an enchantment goes to the graveyard this turn, you may return it to your hand. So if they destroy it, and that's why I usually try to put like a Rune of Sustenance on the Kami, so you can gain life from him. And then if they go to the graveyard at the same turn, because if they destroy the Kami, you get the Kami back, so you can recast it again the next turn. There's the Rune of Sustenance. There's 4 of those in there. 1 of these, because I didn't have as much red white. I have a lot of stuff in the way of green white because I thought the mana base needed more green white than it needed red white. Jukai Naturalist, Rune of Speed, Rune of Might, Runeforge Champion, Rune of Sustenance. I think that might be the 4th Kami, the 3rd Michiko, 4th Generous Visitor. Oh no, that's the 4th Kami and the 4th Generous Visitor and the 4th Rune of Might. So I mean, it plays really well. I've shuffle tested it a lot, and I get good consistent combo action if I either draw. So what I've noticed is with this is you want to mulligan to your creatures. You always have to have a creature in hand. So there's only 20 of them in here. That's 20% of the deck. So you're gonna mulligan down to, so far I'll do a sample hand, a couple of sample hands so you can see. Google, how are you, beebs? Are you bored watching me shuffle this stupid deck? This stupid 60 card deck? You're like, oh, I'm so smart. She's just a sweetie pie. This level of mathematics isn't very much for Google. I mean, she probably doesn't find it that exciting, but I think what she finds exciting is the personal interaction between people. But we'll try a sample hand. I'll deal it out so you can see there. We've got 1, 2, 3. There's your Naturalist. 4, Naturalist. 5, Showdown. 6, another Pathway land, and 7. Okay, so this hand looks a little land heavy, but I'll keep it just so you can see it. So I'll play the Overgrown Farmland first, since I have no turn 1 play. And I'll draw a card, and the card drawn is the Rune of Sustenance. So now I will play the Cragcrown Pathway. See, now when you play this, it's red in your hand, but before you play it, you get to choose. So you choose. I'm gonna choose green. Some players debate because I have the Needleverge in my hand. I have the Needleverge, which is red and white in my hand. So I have the Overgrown Farmland in play. So I can use the white from the farmland and the green from the Cragcrown, or I can use the green from the farmland and the white from the Needleverge. So I guess as a good player, if I were to sit here and think about this, I would be like, all right, so which one is the one that I need more? Because they both produce red on the other side. So I guess that's why I'm like, I guess it probably really doesn't matter. I'll go with the extra green as opposed to the extra white. Although I did draw Rune of Sustenance, so maybe I do need an extra white. So maybe the play here is to take the Needleverge and turn it around and play it as a white land. Let's do that for the sake of argument and see how that works out. So we'll play it as the white land, and we play our first Jukai Naturalist. Now, this is how I usually run these kinds of experiments. Is I've got to assume that the starting hand of the person, because most people play MTG Arena, and MTG Arena is a single game format, and most people in tournaments and stuff, when they play their cards, they assume that you assume that you want to win the first game, so that when you sideboard, the odds are in your favor for the last game if you lose. So you actually get 2 games sideboarded where you were already pre-boarded to win. So I naturally assume that, like, on turn 2 or turn 3, depending, turn 2, or they play nothing and keep it untapped and wait for you to do something, I'm pretty much assuming that this guy's probably dead right now. My first creature, because a lot of the decks are very removal heavy, so I'm going to just assume that this guy is probably going to get removed or killed. So hold on, I gotta check I'm house sitting right now for my parents, so I got to, that's why I'm not at the Magic card shop right now. The Magic card shop is also a really good place to test your theories. I mean, there's always the chance that what I do is when I'm playtesting by myself, I always assume that they're going to have some kind of removal. So the deck has to be able to stand up to... I had 2 creatures in my hand, which is really good. That's really what you want to go for, because you gotta remember that other people are trying to win too. That's the whole point of competitive Magic, is that other people are trying to win as well. So now I think I drew for my turn. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I must have drew. That was for my second turn. So that was my draw. So I got to draw again for my third turn, and I drew Runeforge Champion. So this is good. So let's see here. We'll start off. So we have the extra white. I'm going to play the Cragcrown Pathway in green this time. And then I'm going to play the Runeforge Champion. And I think what I'll do is go search up a so when he comes into play, enters the battlefield, you may search your library and a graveyard for a rune card, reveal it, put it in your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. You may pay 1 rather than pay the mana cost of the rune spells you're going to cast. So what I'm going to do is I already have the Rune of Sustenance in hand. The good thing to get here is the Trampler, the Trample rune, or the Haste rune. But I don't think I'll need the Haste rune, depending. So if they destroyed my creature, they probably have no board at this point. So I'm the only one. They're only reacting to me at this point. So one removal spell in hand is usually what I assume for them, and then the rest they're gonna have to go fish for. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to play. I'm assuming since they have the removal for that first one and not a creature, I'm gonna go for the Rune of Speed, so that my next creature has haste, because they have summoning sickness when they come into play. They're just like, oh, what the fuck? I mean, what the heck? How did I just get here? And they're all like, oh, and they don't really do anything. But for the first turn, they come into play, and then the next turn they can attack, because they kind of figure out like what the heck is going on. They're like, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing here. I've suddenly been summoned onto this dude's game board for this battle for some reason. He's probably some dude just chilling. He's like, oh my gosh, I got drafted in the armor. What the heck? And he's freaking out. Alright, anyway, so I have one Jukai in my graveyard. I'm assuming it got graveyarded. Runeforge, and I revealed a Rune of Speed, and I have this in my hand. I'll keep it like this so the opponent can see my rune that I have in hand. I revealed it. Essentially, they're supposed to be writing this stuff down, so I don't need to reveal it. I just need to reveal it once and be like, alright, so here, this is what I have, and this is in my hand. So I'm all tapped out. That's 3 mana for the Runeforge Champion, and it's his turn. Turn 3, I'm assuming it's either going to be some enchantment or some kind of draw spell. So they'll probably have a 1/1 in play or some kind of draw spell if they're playing control. 2, 3, if they foretelled on 2 and this is still in play, that's a lot of beats for them. But if so, let's say they remove that, and now they have a creature. They have a 3-drop creature. Well, 3 is kind of where you want to go, or they played their enchantment, or they played some other 3 mana thing. So I'm assuming they did either nothing or they played something with little to no it's like negligible to our board experience. So 4. So I have that mountain from that I had in hand. I just drew the Kami, so which is really good. So I'll lay the red land, and I will play the Kami first for green and red, and then I will play the Jukai Naturalist, the second Jukai Naturalist that I had in my hand, for green and white. And now my runes, which I have 2 of in my hand, are 0 cost. So I'll put the Rune of Speed on the Kami of Transience, and his damage goes up to 4, and he gets 1/1/1 counter, and the rune comes into play. I played it for 0 because I have both the Runeforge Champion and the Jukai Naturalist. I paid it for 0, so now I get to draw a card. Now I have the Rune of Sustenance, which I'm gonna put on the so depending on what they played, depending so they're gonna want to get rid of the Kami, because the Kami is gonna get really big, the Kami of Transience. So now what I'll do is I'll mix things up a little bit, and I'll put the Rune of Sustenance on the Runeforge Champion to kind of split the relativity of the importance of the 2 creatures. So he's like almost equally likely to get rid of the Runeforge Champion as the Kami, or maybe he didn't have a Doomscar to counter. But I do get to draw a card from that coming into play, and I did not combo out. I drew a land. So it's got 12 runes in there. The chances are I've got 2 of them in there, so it's 10 in 46. So like maybe 30 12 8 threes 24% chance to combo out there. So but next turn I have the Showdown, so the chances are that I win next turn are very high. So if he doesn't have the Doomscar, which is going to be on turn 4 for me, so he may have foretold, and maybe he's going to the Doomscar right now. So I swing for 3 life-linked, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I attack for 7, puts him at 13. So let's say they foretold a card last turn instead of that. So if they foretold a card, usually I'm a little hesitant about playing all my cards. But if let's say whatever they foretold it, this is an extremely hard situation. These are probably one of the situations where you're gonna lose him, although you drew a really good hand, because if they have removal for your, then they're probably running 4 removal spells, 4 Doomscars, and maybe 2 farewells just just main board. So those are really rough circumstances, but especially if they draw them. But I drew my combo, so I could just assume that maybe they did or didn't draw their combo. But anyway, they're down to 13 and I'm up to 23. It's turn 4. Worst case scenario, they Doomscar. Best case scenario, they have another spot removal, or they just have another creature. That is the 60% chance. If that's how I got the 68% win rate, because right now I'm gonna win next turn for sure, because I have the Showdown in my hand and the and another Kami. So I'll just play out next turn so you can see. But the chance that you lose is the 20% chance that they have the 1 of 8 or the 1 of 8 removal spells on turn 2, and the 1 of 6, which they can only the 1 of 4 removal spells on turn 3 or turn 4. This is turn 4. So if it's my initiative, they're leaving at 4 lands. They only had 4 lands to do whatever they had to do, and now it's my turn to have the 5th land. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw and leave my board position, and it's a Generous Visitor. So now my enchantment spells cost 1 less to play. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a green and play this red, and play a Kami, and I'll lay this Craghorn as a red, and I'll Showdown for 3. And let's see what the top 4 are. 1, another Skald, a Rune of Might. There we go. 3, 4, Michiko. Well, let me see. They were at 13, so I played a Kami. I didn't get a Rune of Speed. See, that's how important Rune of Speed is to the deck. I see some builds with less, because if I was hoping for it wasn't the best. Usually I like to see like like a couple of runes in a Showdown, but a Showdown for another Showdown is pretty good. But this gives them also another chance to react. So if they the good thing about this is splitting up your runes, is that if the Kami goes to the graveyard with a rune, you get it back at the end of the turn. If it goes to the graveyard on their turn with a rune, you get it back. So you wanna equip up the Kami, so when they destroy it, it goes back to your hand, so you can replay it over and over. I don't know that was the best idea, playing the Kami before, but I just wanted to get him a counter, because I don't know. I guess it didn't look like I was gonna win that one. So, but anyway, let's see. We get 1 extra card from the Rune of Might. So now this is why I like the Valakut Explorations, because you do get that 1 extra card. So we get 1 Rune of Might. I'll put it on the Runeforge Champion. Both Kamis get the Generous Visitors in my hand. Both Kamis get counters, and the Runeforge Champion and a Generous Visitor to my hand from playing the Rune of Might. So now now I'm assuming the Jukai Naturalist usually as a 2/2 unequipped can't block, so I might put the Rune of Might on the Jukai Naturalist depending on the board position. Usually they have like a 1/1 or something, like depending on last turn. How like a Wedding Announcement is another popular deck, so they usually have 1/1s. So putting the trample on something like on the Jukai Naturalist is pretty good, because she or he, let me see the picture. He looks like a Swami. He naturally has lifelink, so let me just finish this game and then. Okay, so then that's one more rune, so that becomes 2, 3, 4. The Kami becomes a 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It becomes a 6, 5 trampling haster. This is still 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the Jukai now is 3, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I was 1 damage short, And as you can tell, Valakut Exploration is really good because if the land comes into play, if you can get extra value from the card by playing it, like adding like 4 points of damage or adding like 2 points of damage, depending with how many Kamis you have out, it's better to play the card than to just let it go to the graveyard and deal them 1 damage. But I'm 1 damage short on turn 4, on turn 5, and heading into their turn 5, they're probably going to Doomscar. So I might have lost this particular game. There's the Rune. Play combo, Runeforge Champion. I think some people argue that I have a bit too many lands in this deck. But I think because of the combo potential, I think they might be right. Because back in the day, they used to run mono red with 18 lands. And the casting cost for mono red is the majority 1. But considering you have Runeforge Champion and Jukai Naturalist in here, which lowers the cost of all the enchantments by 1 and the runes by 1, this deck should probably be running 18 lands. I have the extra lands in there so that you can sideboard out for the first game. I always sideboard. When I sideboard out the lands because I run 24, maybe 25 lands in here. It's just a starter deck. But it does have all the essential pieces for the it does have all the essential pieces to the combo, so you won't have to go out to the store to get anything. It's a fully made deck. It's got sleeves on it, as you can see. I don't shuffle the cards since they were purchased or since they were open have been sleeves, so they're all in near mint to mint condition. If you take them out of their sleeves. And then not only that, you get the sideboard as well, which you can put in the comments what kind of sideboard you want. And I can run out and grab the cards for you. You get a Nissa Revane Deckbox, which I love Nissa Revane. So I guess this is personally my personal gift to you is the Nissa Revane Deckbox because I like Nissa Revane. And then you get two Kamigawa dice, as well as the 60 card sleeves and the 15 card sideboard, which I'll finish off for you. I'll probably make another video tomorrow to tell you how to sideboard depending on what decks are in their environment. But this is a standard made deck for FNM standard. Probably win a few tournaments with this and win your money back. There's still Channel Fireball and a lot of MTG games still run these kinds of tournaments where you can make money off your decks and stuff like that, off having the physical copy of the deck as opposed to just the electronic version of the deck. And that is Nissa Revane's Naya Enchantment Aggro. Thanks a lot, Google. I know this is probably a waste of your time. She's like, what does he need money for? He's so funny. She's like, oh, what the heck? He's so cute. With his long furry hair like a wolf. I thought it was like a bear. Wolves are kind of like skinnier, unless he's a fat wolf. I don't have teeth like a wolf. I have teeth like a bear. Anyway, thank you, and happy gaming, and y'all have fun, and remember, praise Google. Google is God. She knows everything. She knows all that we do. We are not invisible anymore because there are Wi-Fi waves flying around us at all times. We can be seen by even the most inconspicuous observer. All right, everyone, enjoy your time and have happy gaming. Don't be paranoid like me.